good morning, evening, or afternoon, whichever one's going on for you at this current point in time. And today we're taking a look at the 11-in-1 Klein screwdriver. Now keep in mind, as you see in the MAG, this is the magnetic variant. The 11-in-1 standard, a lot of people say they like it because it's just really good, high quality, and it's easier to get the bits in and out. But a lot of people say that they have complaints with getting the bits in and out with these, and some people say I have to grab pliers and really wrench on these to get them out, especially after a year, 2 years, 3 years of beating them up. So I wanted to see for myself because I am the type of person to use many shafted screwdrivers. This is inefficient when you're out on a call or you're going someplace where you just need one tool that can do it all. That being said, let's talk about what it comes with, what it does, and then we'll quickly go over pros and 2 cons that I really have to call Klein out for. Now, what's the first thing you think of when you hear Klein? That's right, electrical. These are supposed to be all-in-one for an electrician who's out and about. So it comes with your standard 1/4 inch, which of course is what a lot of places are going to be using with electrical, is some type of combination screw, but mostly people are going to be using flatheads or squares. It's going to come with a 1/4 inch flathead or slotted, a number 2 Phillips. You pull this secondary shaft out. In this shaft are where the rare earth metals that are with the ability to hold in your bits and fasteners. Now keep that in mind. Holds in your bits and then highlight the word fasteners, because that's part of the complaint that I want to talk about later. On the other side, we have the Torx T10 and T15. When you pull out the main shaft from the handle, again, you have another one in the bottom that comes with a 3/16 and a Phillips 1. And then you have your square 1 and square 2. So I love that they come with little ball detents. You can see as I let go, they kind of pull themselves into that magnet, and then you push down on the detent, and these things are not going to go anywhere on you. As far as the handle, I gotta say, I am the type of person to go for just whatever simple. I didn't want to believe the hype, but this grip is so comfortable. As somebody with slightly meatier hands, being able to actually get 4, well, technically 3.5, but I don't feel like my fingers are fighting for real estate on this handle is awesome. If you look in there, it's actually lined with metal. It's not just a plastic handle. So if I happen to kind of twist on it a little bit or add a little bit of extra torque, I know this thing's not going to snap in half. The only thing is I have seen people take a pair of pliers and they'll kind of whack to kind of pry out a circuit breaker or something. Please be careful. This little end cap is not metal. It's plastic. So if this breaks, that's on you. That's not on Klein. So now that we know what it comes with, we know I like the handle. This thing is super nice. Let's talk about the weight, because I was expecting this thing to be pretty heavy, and it's honestly not. At about 7.3 ounces, I was really shocked because I'm so used to my small Stanleys, and even though they are kind of annoying to hold because they're smaller, they're 2.3 ounces, so technically this, with all the attachments added up, they do equate to 7.3. That seems pretty minimal, especially if you're using a satchel or a pro pack or a little tote bag with a bunch of different random assorted tools. You don't want to have your whole collection of pliers, your whole collection of screwdrivers, your whole collections of all your tools. Your back would be broken before you got to the job site. Assuming you're doing apartment maintenance, the last thing you want to do is have a full bag full of stuff and go up to the 3rd or 4th or 5th floor because the elevator's out of order. You're gonna be dead before you get there. Now, just because it's nice, it's very high quality, everything is made out of metal. I love the detents, they're very strong. 2 issues that I have with Klein, and then I'll send you on your way. One is that they include the T10 and T15. Now, typically, I'm not ever using these. I don't see how they're very common out in the field. As somebody who understands that Klein tools are typically pushed towards electricians. I would have wanted to see a combination bit instead. That's where this comes in. For those of you who are unfamiliar, this is the 32752 is the model number, but these are multi-bit combination screwdrivers or bits. You get the number 1 and the number 2, and it is two-headed. Now, if you've never seen these, it's basically a square, a Phillips, and a flathead all mixed into one beautiful, beautiful bit. And the reason is, typically with your receptacles or your light switches, you're going to see these combination screws right over here. Now, these are meant to perfectly sit into them and make for the best amount of torque that you'll be able to deliver without the possibility of camming out. You don't know what camming out is? It's basically if I was to take the wrong bit or a bit that's just too small and really give this thing torque, the bit would slip out. Now typically with flatheads, what tends to happen if it's the wrong size is the flatheads will kind of sit more to one side and kind of burn out that corner. With a flathead, with a Phillips, the Phillips tend to kind of cam out and just scrape out the middle. And then with squares, I mean, squares are the only ones that kind of have my respect. All the Canadians are clapping right now. Square is the only one that really gets in there and at least makes a good effort. However, if you're using a square that is just too big, I mean, what if you brought the wrong one? You know, it sucks. So the combination is the answer. Now, Klein actually used to sell the 11-in-1 with the combination bit. I looked on their website, it's discontinued. Instead, they're giving people T10, T15s. This is a useless bit for me. Again, it can be fixed by just buying the bit, and it comes with 2 in here. So it's not a big deal, but I would have wanted to see an electrician's tool to include something that most electricians who do residential or commercial work are going to need, that combination bit. So while I assemble this, before I actually put it together, I just wanted to show that besides the bits that you also get 3 nut driver sizes. First off is going to be where the actual magnets sit, and where your bits sit is going to be, if you pull out your bit, you're going to see a 1/4 inch, because the bits are 1/4 inch of course, a nut driver for 1/4 inch sizes. So if you happen to have, let's say, these little wire anchors or wire anchor screws, you'll see perfect fit, no problem there. But for whatever reason, it's magnetic to the shaft, but it will not hold. I mean, if I hold it like this, it'll hold. It will not hold. My first gripe about this screwdriver is that the magnet is not as strong as it makes it seem. It's like, it'll hold your bit in, it'll hold your fasteners are secure, and, you know, productivity. Absolutely not. So while I put this together, or before I do rather, there are 2 more nut sizes, and that is your 3/8 of an inch and your 5/16. Your actual bit holding shafts are going to fit in one side. So there's no way to mess it up because they only go in on one side. The bigger one is going to go in on one side, and the smaller one, of course, on the latter. So you put your bits in, very straightforward. Make sure your detents actually click so your bits are not just loose inside the handle. And that's my second gripe. Even though this is brand new, people complain about the bit coming out being an issue. For me, pulling it out's not an issue. It's getting it to seat in. You really have to be like right in the center and then give it some force. This thing, some people say you have to grease it. Other people say it's just wearing it in. But this thing is easy to pull out, not so easy to go back. So, once you get everything together, that combination bit is absolutely fantastic. Just me putting the connection in, You are kidding. Now, obviously, if I go more aggressively, it's going to fall out, but that is impressive. So that's the type of connection you want, so you're not camming out and destroying those, because when somebody after you needs to come and access them, if they're all stripped out, now they got to just replace the screw or the receptacle. Some people say that if you pull this out, it actually damages the internals and the connections. So don't do that to the next person. Get the right bit for the right job. Either use a square or use these combinations. I mean, the other two will work, don't get me wrong, but I just feel like those are the two most secure connections. So yeah, pay it forward. So in closing, pros include really, really comfortable handle. I mean, compared to my Stanleys, they're nice, and don't get me wrong, these are not getting thrown away. But if I had to take one screwdriver to do it all, this is it. I'm definitely not going to walk around with 10. Number 2, we're talking about the ability to actually change your bit. If I wanted to buy this, I could buy this. Now, keep in mind, these combination bits did cost me $10 on Amazon, probably like 11 or 12, but you can get them. The issue is that this costs $20 and the bits cost 10. So kind of at that price, you might want to just go pick up another screwdriver. It seems a little weird. And number 3 is the magnet. While I don't love it, it is still a magnet, so I hate dropping my bits, and this is going to really allow me to just kind of pick it up. Now keep in mind, sometimes with some bits, if you move too quickly to pull it towards yourself, it will let go. But the bit is the actual third pro, which is that you can add your own insert bits to this and they will fit. If you wanted to use your insert bits, your 1-inch, your own bits, I use the Makita XPS Impacts. That is just what I drive. They are awesome. But let's say you use Shockwaves, let's say you use DeWalt. I don't know exactly how those max fits from DeWalt would fit, but they're good and they're still magnetic. I would argue that they're actually more magnetic than the Klein bits that they're meant for. And the reason I say that is because I want to make this very clear. With my own bits, I'm able to actually use the magnet, and it's holding a full-size screwdriver. There's no gimmicks, no strings, no nothing. It's a good magnet when I'm using Makita bits. However, when I use Klein's bits, they are not that generous, right? So if I put this into the Klein shaft, into the handle, if I wanted to pick this up, and I can't make this up, like, give it some more space. Let's assume it was the handle, because y'all just saw me do that. Not going to happen. So using your own bits might actually improve the magnetism. So if you happen to believe in your bits more, go for it. Now, with that being said, do you believe this to be the all-in-one? Do you have a multi-bit screwdriver like from Milwaukee or somebody else that you believe outpaces this one? I'd like to know about it. Or did you have a bad experience with it? I'd also like to know about that, because this channel is all about sharing honesty. None of this stuff is sent to me or given to me. This is all my money. So if it sucks, I'm going to tell you what's wrong with it. On this, the magnets are not as good as they should be, or as good as they're saying they're going to hold the fastener. I mean, if I just grab a whole, box of screws, it might grab a couple nails, and there's nothing wrong with that. However, I'd say anything past 1.25 inches, 1.5 inches, 2 inches, it's just not going to pick it up. Especially things like this drywall screw. It'll hold it, but if I was given the option to, need it for an actual use, just a little bit of wiggling, which may happen on a ladder, it's going to let it go. And I mean, I'm setting this thing up for success, right? Holding it upward. Let's say I'm going up towards something, a little bit of wiggling, and it lets it go. Not me, you know, casting a spell, but definitely got some concerns when it comes to the connections that this thing is making. So I like to keep it 100% honest. Let me know what you think. So until next time, work smart.